Personal cabins allow a safe stay. Information at explorehockingHills.com or 1-800-HOCKING.
Coming up on Newswatch, the parents of Sarah Beller have pleaded guilty.
The Russian invasion has taken the life of another American citizen.
And in sports, Ohio women's basketball opens up tournament action in South Dakota. Newswatch starts right now.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. I'm Curtis Fader.
And I'm Sarah Donaldson. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. Today in Athens County Common Pleas Court, an Athens couple pleaded guilty to 2 felony charges each. Robert and Deborah Beller pleaded guilty to engaging in a pattern of corrupt activity, a 2nd-degree felony, and endangering children, a 3rd-degree felony. Athens County Judge Pat Lang sentenced Deborah Beller to 4 years for a pattern of corrupt activity, followed by a concurrent 3-year sentence for endangering children. Her husband, Robert, was sentenced to 3 years. In 2020, Sarah Beller was reported missing, initiating an investigation after she posted online using a pseudonym and made a number of allegations against her family, including sexual assault. 2 brothers of the Bellers' 18 children were also charged in retaliation to the investigation in November. Following the trial, the attorney representing Sarah Beller says, quote, "Sarah is happy to see the action be punished and will continue her fight," end quote. Debate continues in Columbus over an Ohio criminal justice bill with a focus on the bill's expansion of early release opportunities. The 1,700-page bill, if passed, would increase the maximum credit for prison programming, awarding people who are in prison up to 15% of their sentence instead of up to 8%. But the discussion centers over how this legislation would aid rehabilitation of people who are in prison.
Good afternoon. I'm your lead forecaster, Erin Ashley, and I hope you've been able to get outside to enjoy this absolutely beautiful weather because we're seeing a temperature right now, 74 degrees in March is almost unheard of for this time of year, but mostly cloudy skies making it a little bit gloomy, and unfortunately these temperatures are not here to last. But today, I hope you've enjoyed it and continue to enjoy it as we head throughout the evening hours. You can see right here with the regional satellite that there's some cloud buildup in the west, and it's pushing into our region, and even some over here over in the east still lingering. And that's going to be the cause for those cloudy skies that you saw today and throughout the night tonight as well. These clouds aren't really causing much chaos today. As you can see, very clear skies as far as rain goes. Not really anything we need to worry about as we head into the night tonight. But something you will want to take note of is that temperatures are still very beautiful. So if you have evening plans, you do not need to grab your coat because again, it's going to be absolutely beautiful. Right now, 74 degrees. But I'll talk about when we might see some rain in my full forecast. But for now, back to you, Curtis.
Thanks, Erin. The Ohio Supreme Court once again ruled that the new maps of the House and Senate are unconstitutionally gerrymandered. In a 4-3 ruling, the court rejected the 3rd attempt at new legislative maps for the state. Those maps were approved by the Ohio Redistricting Commission on February 24th, giving Republicans 54% of the seats in the House and Senate. In their dissent, Republicans Sharon Kennedy and Pat DeWine wrote the decision means, quote, electoral chaos. With the new maps due next Monday, however, election officials say their May 3rd primary won't be possible. And in the state's capital, funeral services were held for a longtime voting rights activist in the state. Margaret Peg Rosenfield died on Friday due to kidney failure. The ceremony also celebrated the life of her husband, Al, who passed away a few weeks ago. She joined the League of Women Voters over 50 years ago and worked for the Ohio Secretary of State for 12 years. She was known for her deep knowledge of voting laws within the state, and Rosenfield testified before Congress on the issue. Rosenfield's final letter to the editor was published in the Columbus Dispatch on the day of her death. Her obituary states that instead of flowers, you can donate to the League of Women Voters. A debate among Republican candidates for governor in Ohio has been canceled. Governor Mike DeWine declined to participate, saying voters are already familiar with the candidate. Former U.S. Representative Jim Renacci soon followed DeWine's lead. That left Joe Blystone as the only candidate who planned on attending. The event was scheduled for March 29th.
The city of Athens has already spent an extra $100,000 to pay income tax refunds to remote workers. And as work-from-home employment continues 2 years into the pandemic, the city may have to slash part of its budget as a result. Under last year's state budget bill, employees can now seek refunds on local taxes for any period they were not living or working in a certain community. And with a bulk of Athens' general fund made up of income taxes, these refunds are chipping away at that general fund. The city won't have a clear picture of how many people request refunds until mid-October, which is when the final tax filing deadline is. And if people continue to work from home after the pandemic subsides, it could force the city to make adjustments in the future. A Kentucky Senate panel advanced a bill that will ban the death penalty for defendants diagnosed with severe mental illness. The legislation would abolish the death penalty for people with a documented history of certain mental disorders like schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. The bill now heads to the full state Senate and is similar to one that passed in Ohio in 2021 that resulted in one person getting removed from death row earlier this year. Another U.S. citizen was killed in the crossfire of the Russian invasion on Ukraine after an American journalist was killed a week ago. And Canada is easing its coronavirus restrictions at the border, entering what health experts are calling a transitional phase of the pandemic. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
Slime molds.
You have this organism that has no brain, no organs, no neurons of any kind, and they still have to find food. They may need to hide from predators.
What can they tell us about intelligence?
Solving a maze is amazing.
And where it came from.
We can think of them as how intelligence started way back.
The secret mind of slime.
How could you not love them?
On Nova.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow, these guests feel like they're on top of the world at our stop in the White Mountains.
That's exciting.
Wow. Wow.
The Who is one of the greatest bands of the 20th century.
We've got small concert, small town, big band, and backstage. You can't get better than that.
It's Antiques Roadshow, next time from the Omni-Mount Washington Resort in New Hampshire.
On expedition.
I'm in Greenland with an expert team of Arctic explorers, attempting to kayak up the largest fjord in the world.
Simply stunning. I don't think there's anywhere else on Earth where you feel quite so small, quite so vulnerable. Real danger of getting trapped here.
That's closed up already.
Oh my God, that is absolutely awe-inspiring. This is what adventures are made of.
This is the story of how butterflies became one of the great wonders of the world. From a dark and dangerous past, they have triumphed across the planet. Masters of deception and seduction, they're indispensable to much of life on Earth. How did these delicate but enduring heroes come to be?
Thursday marks the beginning of the 4th week of the war in Ukraine. The UN reports more than 3 million Ukrainians have fled their country, and Emily Schmidt reports those who may face additional dangers in Ukraine.
On the 22nd day of war in Ukraine, Russia's invasion continues to move into unthinkable territory.
I think that Putin has crossed all the red lines possible.
In Mariupol, warnings came in white lines outside a theater, spelling out in Russian the word children to indicate what Ukrainian officials said were 1,200 women and children sheltered inside. It did not stop an attack. Thursday, survivors began to emerge.
It's really devastating when the Russians kill civilians, and they kill pretty much, well, they spare nobody.
The fighting did not spare what officials say were 21 people killed in Mariupol, a school and an arts club destroyed. It did not spare a man's wife and 2 children killed earlier this month trying to flee.
Yes, I've managed to bury everyone.
He remains resolute.
We will not leave Kyiv. We will stay here till the end.
Millions have fled, more than 1.9 million entering Poland in recent weeks. In comparison, since October, about 700 Ukrainian refugees have come to the U.S., according to the State Department. Sources say the Biden administration is looking for ways to help more refugees join families already in the U.S. So many seeking safety anywhere. Coming from a country where President Zelensky says everything now is a target. I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
A lawmaker in Kentucky is looking to help out some of the refugees in Ukraine. Republican Senator Chris McDaniel unveiled a new proposal to set up a fund to help refugees from war-torn countries like Ukraine. The measure would set up a fund to appropriate $10,000 for each family that relocates to Kentucky, and the assistance could go up to 5,000 families. While McDaniel specifically mentioned Ukraine, it would apply for anyone who is misplaced by the international conflict. His proposal was added to a bill that was passed by a Senate committee yesterday.
On the ground in Ukraine, the State Department confirmed that an American citizen was killed in a Russian attack on the Ukrainian city of Chernihiv. This is the second U.S. death reported in the ongoing conflict, after the killing of journalist Brett Renaud last week. The department did not immediately confirm the identity of the American, while police stated on Facebook that there was a heavy artillery attack on the city and a U.S. citizen was among the civilians killed. The United States was heavily monitored the crisis in Ukraine and revealed Russia's next potential strategy.
We have a strong sense of what Russia could do next. We believe that Moscow may be setting the stage to use a chemical weapon and then falsely blame Ukraine to justify escalating its attacks on the Ukrainian people.
The arrest of U.S. basketball player Brittany Griner was extended by a Russian court. Moscow authorities say the two-time Olympic gold medalist was taken into custody for allegedly smuggling drugs in February. According to TASS, the Russian state news agency, the arrest will last until May 19th. 31-year-old citizen Griner is a U.S. citizen who plays on the Russian UMMC Ekaterinburg team, which she has suited up for since 2019. Earlier this week, former First Lady Hillary Clinton called for her release, sharing an article on her Twitter account with the phrase, "Free Britney."
Mortgage rates have risen above 4% for the first time since May 2019. Housing finance agency Freddie Mac reports the 30-year fixed mortgage rate averaged 4.16% this week as of today. That's up from 3.85% the week before. Rates climbed as the Federal Reserve moved to soaring inflation, announcing Wednesday it would raise interest rates for the first time since 2018. The mortgage rates are not directly connected to federal funds rate, but Freddie Mac says the Fed raising short-term rates and signaling more increases means mortgage rates should continue to rise over the course of the year. Uncertainty in Ukraine and rising inflation are also having impacts on the rates. The White House is shifting to a new phase of its response to the pandemic, and part of its new phase will be a shuffle in the COVID-19 staff. White House COVID-19 coordinator Jeff Zients will step down next month, with Ashish Jha, an epidemiologist and the dean of Brown University's School of Public Health, taking his place. President Joe Biden praised Zients, calling him a man of service and an expert manager, pointing to the progress the country had made under his watch. The objective now is to manage the pandemic with fewer disruptions to daily life, while also monitoring potential new waves and variants of the virus. But it's a tricky time for the White House as it struggles to secure billions of dollars in funding for its future of the U.S.'s coronavirus response amid opposition from some Republican lawmakers. Zients' deputy will also depart the White House in April, but Biden calls Dr. Jha the perfect person for the job.
And up north of the border, Canada is easing up on its pandemic restrictions. Starting April 1st, fully vaccinated travelers won't need a COVID-19 test to get in. Health officials there say the pandemic is entering what they've called a transitional phase. But if cases spike again, those restrictions will come back, explaining the virus will be, quote, with us for a very long time, end quote. Climate change could result in the shift of when allergy season occurs. That story's still ahead.
And I'll talk about the likelihood of a crack of thunder or two in my full forecast, but for now, take a look at the stocks of local interest.
My people have gone missing since Europeans set land here on Turtle Island.
We took action just like you're doing today.
Oh my gosh, my grandma's part of that epidemic.
We demand healing and we demand justice. Our pain is not for their extraction.
You were meant to serve.
If you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
She grew up in a household where power was like electricity and running water.
Nancy Pelosi came up in a historical era where you did see politics as combat.
She's got this no-holds-barred attitude, and the other side be damned.
She was not going to shut up about this. She went after this with a vengeance.
Nancy Pelosi has never been accused of bringing a knife to a gunfight.
Madam Speaker!
Premieres Tuesday, March 22nd, 9, 8 Central, only on PBS.
He's back.
Come on.
Yeah, isn't this amazing?
Wait, what?
Dr. Henry Louis Gates returns
No way. Everybody has a story.
with more new episodes.
It's daunting.
That's beautiful.
It's too much. Too much.
New guests.
It's amazing.
Chutzpah.
I have no words.
And newfound family.
These are your people, man.
He just took me through a soap opera.
He looks like my kid. Yeah, he does.
Finding your roots.
She wanted to help build a new Germany. Letting go of the old is part of the new beginning.
She's constantly underestimated, which becomes like her superpower.
Openness always involves risks. Surprise yourself with what is possible.
She had the capacity to solve problems.
Freedom is never something that can be taken for granted.
Back to Newswatch. I'm your lead forecaster, Erin Ashley, and I hope that you've been able to get outside and enjoy this absolutely beautiful weather we've been having today. Mostly sunny skies with lots of cloud cover later this afternoon, but that high is sitting just above 70 degrees. Tonight, temperatures will drop a little bit below 50, where Athens is looking at 46 degrees tonight. Overall, it's been a very wonderful day, and that only is proven by our radar image. You can see there is nothing happening. Absolutely beautiful weather, clear skies, nothing to complain about here. But if we expand it to the region, you can see that there's something that moved through just overnight last night. That's now creating a little bit of chaos out here, just a little bit of rain, but something that we are tracking out here towards the west. This is something that will strengthen as it pushes into our region over here in Ohio, and that's going to be the cause for some rain tomorrow afternoon and into Saturday, But tonight, expect clear skies. Temperature again is going to be sitting at a low of 46 degrees Fahrenheit, and tomorrow that sunrise expected at 7:30. Around then, you should start being able to see that lovely sun peek from around the horizon. But tomorrow, you can see that right down here, this cold front is going to have pushed through our region, bringing some cooler temperatures tomorrow, not by a whole lot, but it's also going to be the cause for this rain that you will see right here, and this will push over here into our region. But if we look at the weather for tomorrow, like I said, 50% chance of showers, but that high is still looking nice and warm. But again, it's going to be very gloomy. You're not going to want to be outside. In fact, if you do have to head outside, and especially on that morning commute on Saturday, you're going to want to bring your umbrella, grab that windbreaker, because those showers will be happening later than day tomorrow and into Saturday. Tomorrow night, expect that low to only hover around 50 degrees. And that's because of this cold front that is starting, that is starting to push into our region tomorrow night. That's because of this low pressure center out here in the west, and that's going to be the cause for some rain and even a crack of thunder or two. It just depends on some other factors over and up in the atmosphere, but right now we're looking at rain, and we definitely can't rule out the isolated crack of thunder or two, especially with such warm conditions and such spring-like weather. It's definitely a possibility. And that is only proven further by looking on Saturday, because that low pressure is going to continue over into the east, and it's going to increase the chance for those thunderstorms on Saturday morning as that cold front begins to push through. So as we head into the weekend, expect those chances for showers to increase on Saturday from 50% on Friday to 60% on Saturday. That cold front is going to cause temperatures to drop to 60 degrees as your high on Saturday. And again, looking at the weekend, conditions will dry out by Sunday, and we're looking at another chance for rain on Tuesday and early into next week as well. I'll throw it back over to you, Sarah.
Thanks, Erin. Future allergy seasons will start more than a month earlier and be much more intense because of climate change, according to a new study. Mandy Gaither has more on ways to keep your allergies in check.
Spring is already in the air, and so is pollen.
Right now, we are in the high pollen counts with trees.
Dr. Sandra Hong, an allergist at Cleveland Clinic, says pollen season usually begins mid-February, but a new study published in Nature Communication says that by the end of the century, the season of high pollen counts could begin as much as 40 days earlier than previous decades because of global warming. Researchers also say annual pollen counts could climb by up to 250%. Hong says she's already seeing allergy seasons change.
Our pollen seasons are lasting longer. We definitely have had a couple years where our allergies are the worst I can remember in the last 20 years.
That's why she says it's important to be aware of your allergies now when symptoms are starting. Look at pollen counts before going outdoors, and if you have a pet that goes outside, don't bring them into your bed.
Because at that point in time, it's like you're hugging a tree.
If you know you suffer from allergies, consider using your medicine now.
If we know that we have allergy symptoms in the springtime, sometimes the nasal steroids can be really effective and our #1 treatment for allergies. And usually we'll use the antihistamines just as needed for itching and sneezing types of symptoms.
If over-the-counter medication isn't working, it's time to see a doctor. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Dr. Hong says to make sure you keep windows closed this time of year to keep pollen from coming into the home. Shower before bed to wash the pollen off and change clothes.
Coming up in sports, the Ohio women's basketball team begins action in the WNIT tonight. Hear the Bobcats' keys to victory in their first round matchup coming up next on Newswatch. And be sure to stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
He's back.
Come on.
Yeah, isn't this amazing?
Wait, what?
Dr. Henry Louis Gates returns
No way.
Everybody has a story.
with more new episodes,
It's daunting.
That's beautiful.
It's too much. Too much.
new guests,
It's amazing.
Chutzpah.
I have no words.
and newfound family.
These are your people, man.
He just took me through a soap opera.
He looks like my kid. Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Finding your roots.
Slime molds.
You have this organism that has no brain, no organs, no neurons of any kind, and they still have to find food. They may need to hide from predators.
What can they tell us about intelligence?
Solving a maze is amazing.
And where it came from.
We can think of them as how intelligence started way back.
The secret mind of slime.
How could you not love them?
On Nova.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow, these guests feel like they're on top of the world at our stop in the White Mountains.
That's exciting.
Wow. Wow.
The Who is one of the greatest bands of the 20th century.
We've got small concert, small town, big band, and backstage. You can't get better than that.
It's Antiques Roadshow, next time from the Omni-Mount Washington Resort in New Hampshire.
She grew up in a household where power was like electricity and running water.
Nancy Pelosi came up in a historical era where you did see politics as combat.
She's got this no-holds-barred attitude, and the other side be damned.
She was not going to shut up about this. She went after this with a vengeance.
Nancy Pelosi has never been accused of bringing a knife to a gunfight.
Madam Speaker!
Premieres Tuesday, March 22nd, 9, 8 Central, only on PBS.
Ohio women's basketball kicks off its WNIT run tonight at South Dakota. This is the first time these two teams have ever played each other, and the Bobcats took
bag a win after lackluster regular season. South Dakota State has a 23-9 record compared to Ohio's 15-14. The Jackrabbits finished first in the Summit League with a 17-1 conference record. Both teams look to utilize the bench depth they have. Tip-off is scheduled for 8 p.m. inside Frost Arena. All three of Ohio's All-MAC honors players, Cece Hooks, Erica Johnson, and Gabby Burris, are crucial to a Bobcat victory. But expect a good effort from Hooks. She looks for her 12th double-double of the season in what could be her final game as a Bobcat. The senior is the highest scorer in MAC history. Ohio softball is back in the win column ahead of the start of the MAC play this weekend. The Bobcats defeated Marshall 8-7, putting an end to the Herd's 11-game winning streak. Ohio came back from a 7-1 deficit, and it was a team effort on the diamond for both of the offense and defense. Megan McMenemy had a double, triple, and a home run. Yasmin Logan had 2 hits, a home run, and drew a walk. And Caitlin Fogue, Tori Walker, and Tori O'Brien each had runs to contribute to the team as well. McMenemy says teamwork was the key to victory.
It takes a team. We just focused on passing the bat and just we just stayed within ourselves and didn't really try to do too much with it. Just base hits, pass the bat, and I mean, we're such a close team that we all knew we had each other's backs no matter what happened, and we just didn't let one out affect us.
Ohio travels to Buffalo for a 3-game series starting tomorrow. Ohio baseball is also celebrating a win over the Thundering Herd. The Bobcats came away with a 6-3 victory thanks to some late offense. Ohio only had 1 hit through the first 4 innings. Spencer Harbert tied the game in the 5th with a solo home run to left field. From there, the Bobcats on offense rolled on. The win wouldn't have been possible without the 8 different pitchers that took the mound. Head coach Craig Morris says that plan was in the beginning.
Yeah, we planned to do that on Monday when we met as a staff. With just playing 2 games last Friday, not being able to play over the weekend to finish that series, we felt like we needed to get some guys out there and get some work in before this weekend. We didn't want to overuse anybody because of the 4-game series coming up with Kent.
The Bobcats and the Golden Flashes open up their series tomorrow at 1 p.m. Baker Mayfield may not be a Cleveland Brown for much longer. The situation in Cleveland is not getting any better. Mayfield requested a trade earlier today, according to a report. He told ESPN it's in the best mutual interest of both sides for us to just move on. In a later report, the Browns told Mayfield's agents that they will not accommodate his request. The Browns were rumored to be one of the teams courting the Texans' Deshaun Watson. Mayfield has been a quarterback for the Browns since 2018. I'm Haley Hollinger, and that's it for sports. Back to you, Sarah.
Well, thank you there, Haley. But Thursday is St. Patrick's Day, and a time when many Americans celebrate their Irish heritage, or pretend they have Irish heritage. About 33 million Americans self-identify as being of Irish ancestry, according to U.S. Census data. That's 5 times the number of people on the actual island of Ireland, The traditional wearing of green and joining in the revelry will pick back up again this year with the easing of many COVID restrictions. And there are hundreds of parades across America to celebrate, and some are back, others aren't. But regardless, you can always celebrate with a Guinness and some corned beef and cabbage at home. March 17th marks the assumed date of St. Patrick's death 1,500 years ago, but he is credited with bringing Christianity to the Emerald Isle.
And might I remind you that if you have plans for St. Patrick's Day tonight, it's going to be very beautiful as we head into the late evening hours, but temperatures are going to drop close to 46 degrees tonight. Mostly clear, expect very nice weather tonight. But looking at tomorrow, expect that chance for showers to increase all the way to 50%, and showers are going to happen later in the afternoon. Looking at the 7-day outlook, expect conditions to dry up by Sunday, and we're tracking some nice warming as soon as Monday, 67 degrees. But St. Patrick's Day has just been a very beautiful day. Have you guys had a great day celebrating?
I still have yet to celebrate, but I'm noticing that you ladies have not been wearing green. Now, you're a weather lady.
I've got my green.
I'm colorblind, I guess, but I mean, you're a weather lady, so that's understandable, but what's your excuse?
I'm sorry, I don't have one.
Well, that's just sad, but that's all we have for you today. Thank you for watching. PBS NewsHour up next, and you can watch everything on WOUB.org. Have a great night.
Support comes from Dean Heating and Cooling. Stay warm this winter with energy-efficient Temp Star heating. Dean Heating and Cooling provides HVAC services and installation in the Athens area, featuring Tempstar quality you can feel.